Namaste. Welcome to Tripo's Cooperative Podcast, the cooperative voice of the Southeast. We're bringing the world to our community and our community to the world. I'm Jay, and this week's guest is Ashley McNeely of Thrivent Financial, and she will be offering some basic and immediately useful financial education for our community, and also clearing up some misconceptions around the financial industry. So welcome to the show, and thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Jay. I'm so excited to be here. As Jay said, my name is Ashley. I am technically a native. I was born but not raised here. I've been in finance for about 7 years now. Different fields. I am a licensed financial advisor. Currently, I am the highest licensed Black financial advisor in Colorado Springs. And I'll just put Black woman on top of that as well. And my goal is to, kind of what Jay was saying, cure up some common misconceptions, provide education for people who need it, and kind of give a helping hand to people of all levels, whether you're starting out or you have a huge multi-million-dollar company. As I said before, born but not raised, so you can't tease me. I am a native, technically. Born in Gunnison, raised in Houston. My grandfather was a petroleum engineer, so that took us to the south. Back to Gunnison for college. Then 7 years in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the land of dirt. It's a beautiful place, but not to live. And I've lived in the Springs now for about 3 years in May. Just me, no kids, except a very fat tabby cat named Timmy. And I have a house full of plants and a house full of books as well. I think I had 12 boxes when I moved. So I'm a bit of a nerd.
All right. By far the most fantastic intro we've had on the show thus far. So thank you for that. Those misconceptions, let's jump into those misconceptions around the financial industry. I know that for a lot of communities of color, unfortunately in the digital age, we are still dealing with a lot of misconceptions. So definitely community, here's a person that can clear up some of that for us. And so we're going to pay attention, right, to what she has to offer. So yeah, if you can jump right into that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first stigma is not a lot of people look like me. And so a lot of people assume in finance that, I'll just say it, it's a bunch of old, rich white guys. And for a long time, that was the stereotype. But, the time is changing with that. And also one of the other misconceptions is that the advisors just want to take your money. That's what everybody thinks. All we're here to do is sell you something. We're only looking after our own interest. And unfortunately, that has happened. Like I said, I grew up in Houston. I lived through Enron. I went to Enron Field one year and Minute Maid Park the next year. So I completely understand why that would leave a bad taste in people's mouths. But so much has changed. For example, the company I work for, Thrivent, and I've been very picky about where I picked. For the past 9 years, we've been one of the world's most ethical companies. And when you think of finance and insurance, you don't usually think of ethics, unfortunately.
That's right.
So we are one of the world's most ethical companies. Also, with all the licenses that we hold, we're required to be something what's called a fiduciary. A fiduciary means I have to work in your best interest. It doesn't matter if I know I'm going to make a higher commission. Doesn't matter if my best friend is selling this stock. Doesn't matter if it's on Oprah's favorite things list. Doesn't matter if it's not a good fit for my client. I cannot promote it, and ethically I wouldn't either. But those are some of the major misconceptions that when I talk to somebody and they hear financial advisor, they're like, oh, I don't have any money. I can't talk to you, or I don't want to talk to you. So.
Okay. There's some more, obviously a lot more to the picture. So, we're definitely looking forward to that. So, the floor is yours to bring us that education and let us know, what are some tools and tips that we can immediately use.
Fantastic. So kind of dovetail into what I was saying before. The next point I want to bring up is you don't have to be a millionaire to be a financial advisor. To use a financial advisor. Most people assume that you have to be quote unquote well off, whatever that means to you, to meet with somebody. But a financial advisor is nothing more than a resource. We have specialized licenses, we have specialized education, and we're just a resource. It's the same thing as going to see a tax consultant at tax time. You know, TurboTax didn't give you the answers that you want, so you have to actually go talk to a person. And so that's one of the things I want to tell people when you talk about financial advisors. Don't assume you're just starting out, that somebody can't help you. You might not be able to buy a product right now. You might not be able to do fee-based planning, but 9 times out of 10, they can give you some pretty good general education to get you on, to get you on the right track. And for me, for example, I have a handful of clients that I've never made a dime off of because I've given them some information, check in on them every few months and make sure they're on the right track. And then, if and when their situation improves, we can move forward. But, that's so important to tell people that you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be, you can be working minimum wage and you can still meet with a financial advisor. For me, it costs 30 minutes of your time. That's how much it costs you to sit down and meet with me. You can buy me a cup of coffee if you really want to, but all right. So the next thing that I really wanted to bring up is to have a plan and to know where your money is going. And I know that sounds simple, but unfortunately, common sense isn't common anymore. Mm-hmm. I hate to say that, but so having a plan, I usually call it a budget, but some people do better if you call it a plan because a lot of people think budget is a bad word. But know where your money is going, especially if you are like me and you don't carry cash and you have a debit card. It is really easy to swipe your debit card at the drive-thru, at the grocery store for an impulse buy. Even vending machines now take debit cards. So it's not that you can't have things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, have your indulgences, go to Starbucks, go to McDonald's, whatever it is, but know where your money is going. And my recommendation is to sit down and write out a budget. Pull up your bank statement, whatever you do. See exactly how much you spent. You would be shocked how much you spend. $5 here, $2 here. It will add up. And if you're trying to make every penny count, or you're saving up to a goal, or anything like that, it makes a huge difference. So having that plan and knowing where your money is going, right, it will make all the difference in the world. Next thing is a bit of a shift. Especially living down south, we talk about protection. So everybody down here, we all have insurance because we have hail. So you have insurance on your car. Mm-hmm. You have insurance on your home. That's right. Or on your apartment. Why don't people have insurance on their lives?
All right, so let me offer you a little bit of pushback on that. Mm-hmm. Some people might say, well, I plan on living forever, or I eat pretty healthily, and or I can't take it with me, so I'm not worried about it. So, some of those attitudes do exist within our community.
Oh yeah.
And so, if you could address some of that as well within.
And that's perfect because that's very often the questions that I get and the pushback that I get. So my response is, if you're going to live forever, please get me a piece of paper. Write down the day that you're going to die, and I'll come see you the week before. So.
Okay.
Same thing. We're, living healthy. I have a very personal example for this. A very dear friend of mine, 34 years old, very healthy, ran Ironmans, vegan. I talked to her on Sunday, and she died on Monday. Mm. She was in a car accident. 34. I mean, she didn't get to choose that. Same thing. You can't take it with you. Okay, I completely understand that. It's money. But who are you leaving behind? What are you leaving behind? Average American dies with $65,000 of debt. That's from Forbes. I didn't just make that up. Do you want your children to have to figure out how do we do this? How do we bury you? How do we cremate you? We have a car payment. We have a mortgage. We have daycare. We have medical bills. I can't tell you how to live your life, but you have to think about who and what you're leaving behind. And this isn't a pitch to sell insurance, but it's something just to make you think, because I know, it's hard, especially when you're trying to make every penny count. But sometimes you have to take a step back away from the bills and look at what's around you. Look at your family. Even myself, I'm single. I have a cat. I still have a life insurance policy with my mother as the beneficiary, because if heaven forbid something would happen to me, I'd want her to be taken care of. And that's my counter argument for you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely appreciate that. And so definitely, folks, that's some words for the wise to just sit down and think about what are we doing with our finances and who is it affecting after we're gone. And I definitely appreciate that. I know that that's something that for sure I can use in my own life. So definitely thank you for sharing that. So you guys stay tuned for our next segment, where our guest will be updating us on some upcoming events and giving us some takeaways from today's conversation. And also you'll find out where you can find our guests, so that if you have any additional questions and if there's some other things that you need clarified, more personal conversation that you need to have with her, we'll make that information available. So you guys stay tuned. Okay, and thank you guys for staying tuned. And our guest has some upcoming events to share with us.
Yes, so I do these every month. So if you can't come in February or March, don't worry about it. The first one is I do a women's roundtable every month. This month it is going to be the 22nd, which is a Saturday at 1 p.m. It's at the Decadent Dessert Bar, which is off of Voyager. I know it's way up north, but I live down here too, and it only takes me about 20 minutes to get up there. It's completely free. I even pay for the coffee, the treats, everything like that. It's just a place for women to have conversations about their unique financial issues. The second thing I'd like to promote is the African American Youth Leadership Conference is coming up on March 7th. So if you have a child between 6th and 12th grade, and they'd like to attend, it is, again, completely free. It's from, I believe, 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. It is on a Saturday, so they do have to get up. It's at Colorado College, but we feed them, we entertain them. I will be speaking as well, doing a class called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because who doesn't want to be a millionaire? And if you are interested in registering, please go to aayylccos.org. Make sure you put the COS in, because there is another organization not in Colorado Springs. And then the last one is I also do a workshop series, different topic every time, so feel free to come as many times as you want. The next one is going to be on March 26th at 6:30 p.m. at Colorado Tech. It is, again, it's free. This one is called Finding Ways to Save. Nothing is sold. I don't try and get you to buy anything while we're there. It's just about building good habits. And like I said, each month they change. We have topics ranging from college planning to taxes to saving for big vacations or paying off your house early. So every month it's different. And last but not least, if you want to find me, besides this lovely podcast, you can find me on Facebook. Just type in Ashley McNeely. It's McNeely, Thrivent Financial, and that will pop up. Same thing on Google. So feel free to shoot me an email, call me, text me, what have you. And my last little bit of advice before I go is, if there's any books or any reading or anything that you're interested in, I would still say reach out and have a conversation with me before, just because why waste your time? Everyone's situation is different, and I want to make sure that I point you in the right direction before you go out. We are in the era of technology, but unfortunately we're in the era of a lot of misinformation as well. So thank you so much, Jay, for having me on. I really appreciated it, and hopefully I can see you guys again.
Yeah, definitely. You're more than welcome. I hope you guys found that information useful and relevant. I know I did. And this concludes this episode. So the links to find our guest are on the screen. And if you would like to support this content, you can do so by purchase, you can do so by donation, or you can do so by becoming a co-owner of Tree Post Cooperative. This is actually a cooperative business. And our contact information will be in the outro. And I'd like to remind you, as we always do, to think creatively, act cooperatively, and build community. Well, peace.